You guys are legends. Matt the Hammer, Danny D. You guys have blessed a lot of people.
Justin Bieber just had this video about him playing a guitar. Somehow we found this, and we're like, hey, let's book this guy for some rush. We paid him $1,500.
We started doing the gigs. We went to Miami together. We started doing the mix show. And then we started doing like all the clubs. We did Paparazzi together. We did the Docks. We did Palazzo.
Lady Gaga's walking around like, who's this girl? We were playing Just Dance on the radio. I mean, if you look at all the DJs that have been by the station, from Tiesto to Armin van Buuren to David Guetta.
We had Tiesto, and there was a guy, he had his baby. He named his kid Tiesto.
Tiesto still remembers that story.
What's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to What Would It Cost? Today I am sitting down with DJ Danny D and Matt the Hammer. These two absolute legends from Z1035. Guys, I don't think I gotta intro them more than that. You guys know what's good, how awesome these guys are. We're gonna go and we're gonna have an awesome conversation. We're gonna take you through a journey from when they started to where they're at right now and everything that happened in between. So welcome to the pod, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Love it. Yes, we're ready.
We were really excited and pumped up to see the names on the list for today's session for What Would It Cost. This is definitely something that is really outside of what we do on a regular basis, right? We usually have industry professionals that have that are involved in the real estate space.
So opposite
right?
of
But
us.
Polar opposite, but you guys are fucking legends.
Yeah.
Right? Matt the Hammer, Danny D. Who wouldn't want to listen to this podcast?
Yeah,
and
right.
It's an honor to have you at
Awesome.
Spark headquarters. Thank you for giving us your time today.
It's an honor to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and I mean, so many stories that we have together, so many parties that we did, so many laughs that we've had, so many times that, you know, we were at the station or you guys were at the clubs or, you know, just taking it back. I don't even know where to start, right? But what I want to get into today is I want to get into not where our
You want to take it way back.
yeah. I want to take it way back.
Like
I don't want to
back.
get into where our relationship started. I want to take it back to when Danny D and Matt first got into the scene, right? And
This'll
then
be
I
good.
want to take it all the way up until today.
Okay.
Wow.
Right?
All right.
So yeah,
in a
it's-
shortened form, obviously.
in a shortened form, right? Hit us with all the bangers.
Wow.
Talk to us about all the highs, the lows,
Yeah.
everything in between, and how you guys have evolved into, you know, legends in this
Amazing.
city.
I appreciate that.
Everybody knows, that everybody respects, that everyone likes to see you guys walk into a room. You guys light rooms up when you walk in, right?
Awesome.
And you could
Thank
tell
you.
the reaction on people's faces and the body language when you guys are there. You guys are like local celebrities. You know?
Oh, thank you, man.
So
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you guys are, you know, in my experience working with you guys, always just, you know, optimistic, amazing at what you do, right? And putting a lot of guys on in the city too, right? And having their music
and stuff
heard,
like that, right.
right? And having it be that these guys went on to blow up and are now globally recognized, right? And the
Wow, yeah.
DJs that you guys have had on the station, and like you guys have blessed a lot of people, right? In
Yeah.
regards to the come up and helping them through their careers. So yeah, there's so much to get into today,
Yeah,
but I'm gonna
totally.
let you guys take it from
want
the
me to start,
beginning.
Danny, or
How
you
did
wanna start?
Matt and Danny get into radio? How did you get into
Oh,
DJing?
wow.
How did you get into MCing? Let's go.
Okay, well, where do I start here? I've been there a long time, 27 years, I think. So I started from the bottom, washing vehicles for $7 an hour, making sure when I did it, I'd make sure that the light. We used to have lights on the top that used to spin around like a tow truck or
So washing the cars at Z?
yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Literally from.
Yeah, so this is right from the bottom here.
Yeah. Sick.
So I'd Windex the lights to make them shine brighter. The trucks would go out with like Armor All tires, and it would be the best looking truck. You know, if there's all the stations there, Z103 or Hot 103 back then would be the best looking one. So I quickly got one to get out of that. I was like, I can't be doing this forever. What am I going to do next? So I was like, I came out of school, by the way, for radio. I went to school for radio for 2 years. And then I started doing production, learned production, mastered that, became production manager. And then from there, I became operations manager. So I was in charge of a lot of different things. And then I wanted to be on the radio. I was like, man, I got to be on the radio. What happened was I was in Wasaga Beach. And I remember we used to do the dart or bananas on the Saturday and the rocks and Barrie on Sunday. Shit. So it was like a long weekend thing. So I'd go up there and Monica would be throwing T-shirts off the top of this railing and drinking for free and walk out with all this money. And I was like, you actually get paid to do that? I'm not even making that up. I was like, what? I'm washing cars and you're doing that. There's no way this is happening. So I was like, I got to get on the radio. So long story short, Danny knows this. They threw me on Friday overnight from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. It was called the All Request All Night Dance Party back in the day, and people used to leave the clubs and listen to that. And there was a system called Mobile Track that could track what cars are listening to what radio station on the highway. And you get a line graph at the end of the day. So if you did a cool promo, the graph would go up or whatever. And the only time that Hot 103 was number one in Mobile Track was Friday overnight, 1 to 4 in the morning, which is crazy. It was like me with like me with like a 26 share, and the next station with a 9. That's how big the gap was. Now it wasn't a ton of people listening, but it was cool to see that. So you see a line graph just shoot up like that. So I'd throw that under the program director's door, saying, "Let me on the air more. Let me on the air more." So then they finally put me on evenings. I think Mike Devine, the party dog, was doing evenings at the time. And I did evenings for a bit. Ratings went through the roof. And then Monaco was doing the drive. And it was like, wow, what's going to happen now? So they're like, they offered me the afternoon drive. So Monaco didn't talk to me for a couple years. But I was just doing my best I could, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're great buddies now. But back then he was like a little bit upset. But I was like, I'm not sorry, man. I'm just trying my hardest. I just want to, be on the afternoon. But so they moved into evenings or whatever they did. And not that Monaco's, not good. Monaco's more legendary than the two of us, but that's how it all happened. I was doing afternoon drive, went to Miami at Ultra one year, and I was listening to a radio station that had a mix show on. 5 o'clock was always the number 1 hour of the station. I hired Danny, and I said, I'm going to put you on the number 1 hour of my show, and I want you to make it bigger. And that's exactly what he did.
Wow.
So,
Shit.
yeah. And then I could go on where, I could go on where then I became... So I'm on the afternoon drive, kind of doing some other things. The music director left one day. They said, "Hey, do you want to try music?" And I was like, "Give it to me. I'll learn it." So I learned the music system, became music director. So, and then I was assistant program director. So kind of, the program director runs the whole company. The assistant does all the work. So I was doing a ton of work. And then I became program director. So now I'm program director, music director, and on the radio. And this is one of my assistants, Danny. He assists me with a ton of music. He helps me out from a programming standpoint. And we've been together for, 20 years now.
Yeah, more than 20 years, yeah.
And I hired Danny in a donut shop, like down the road from the radio station for minimal money.
No
and
way.
I said to him, "Stick with me. We're going to do stuff together, and I guarantee I'll make you some money." And I think that's what we did.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah,
No way.
that's a short version of it, but it's
Okay,
and that's where we are today.
So you've literally played every role in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I can write scripts. I can produce a commercial. I can go on the radio. I can do a club. I can program music. I can program a radio station. I can do it all more or less. But that's after 27 years. But I figure that's the way to do things, is learn everything. And you can go so far. I mean, I don't know what's next for me. Maybe the CEO, but we'll see. So I'm up here, and I've had a great career. I got to travel a lot. Obviously, I do some cool things. And we'll get into some of the artists that I've broken to, like, Justin Bieber and all these artists that we got for $1,500 paying them at, what would it cost is a good one here, is that Justin Bieber was just coming up. We were doing Summer Rush at the Docks. I think we had 5,000 tickets sold. Justin Bieber just had this video about him playing a guitar. So somehow we found this, and we're like, "Hey, let's book this guy for Summer Rush." We paid him $1,500, and he sold us 6,000 tickets in one day.
Wow.
And then we called him back a year later.
$1,500.
And $1,500. He was asking for more ride tickets, and we wouldn't even give them to him. Like, that's enough, kid. That's enough. Yeah, you had enough rides. Yeah. No, that's a true story too. And then I think we called him back a year later, and he wanted $100,000. We called him back a year after that. He wanted $1 million, something like that, close to those numbers, where it was like that big, that fast.
Really?
So, crazy.
Eh?
Same with Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga, yeah.
Lady Gaga's walking around. I'm like, "Who's this girl?" We were playing Just Dance on the radio, and we got her, I think, for free, to be honest with you.
I think so, yeah.
And look where she is now. So there's a ton of artists that we've had at like Summer Rush, or artists that we've broke in Toronto, and DJs that we've let on the radio that become big. I mean, if you look at all the DJs that have been by the station, I don't think there's one DJ that hasn't. That's massive. From Tiesto to Armin van Buuren to David Guetta they've all been there. The network who we've done over the years, they always come back. We're not paying these DJ. What would it cost to get Armin van Buuren to come in and do the drive at 5? $0, because of the relationship we have with them, the networking we did, the support we gave them over all the years. There's a lot of guys that remember that, and now they come through when they're in Toronto before they do their gig at Rebel or whatever.
Yeah, because you guys have all the big hitters in on the steady, right? Especially
we got
on the
Danny.
drive, right?
We got Danny. That's all we need is Danny.
Yeah, 100%. Bro.
He's up there with all those
Legendary,
guys. So
bro.
you go ahead and start. I guess how you want to get.
Okay, so you're at a donut shop.
Well, I'm actually
Matt
taking
the fucking Hammer walks in, and that's some fucking Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
It didn't
I'm
quite
gonna make you some fucking money.
There's a little bit of background before.
Let me
get to that.
Yeah, of course.
So
Before you went.
but no, I just want to take it back to how I started DJing. So it was actually an after-school party. The school didn't have, in high school, they didn't have a budget for DJ, so me and a couple buddies got together, and I remember Runaway, Real McCoy was a big track at the time, and we just had some CDs, whatever. I dropped that track, and the place went nuts. So, and I fell in love instantly. I said, you know what, this is what I want to do. So then, anyways, I started
Real McCoy, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and then I started DJing, small parties, whatever. My first big club gig was Paparazzi on Thursdays, and then they were going live to air on Saturdays with Z103, well, Hits 103 at the time.
Sure.
But I was doing a mix show on a competitive station, Power 88.5, which we own.
Yeah.
But at the time we didn't. So, but the owner of Paparazzi, he wanted me to DJ on the Saturday. He's like, he loved what I was doing on the Thursday. He's like, you're DJing Saturday. I don't care what anybody says. You're DJing. So anyways, this guy took exception to it. So he was like, so I remember going into the station. I had to go in for a meeting before the live tear, and I could hear him in his office, get that 88.5 guy out of here.
Oh, it was competitive back in the day. It was competitive.
But I mean, look, like he leads Z103, so like, I mean, I don't blame him for it. Like it wasn't.
Not me.
No, I heard it.
Okay.
So anyways,
I wanted you to hear it.
So I was actually doing commercials for Paparazzi too at the time, like in my home studio. So he was looking for a producer. So then that's when this all came about. He said, meet me. We went to the donut shop. We had that conversation. Sick. So he hired me for production. I started out of production, moved to production manager. We started doing the gigs. We went to Miami together. We started doing the mix show. And then we started doing like all the clubs. We did Paparazzi together. We did the Docks. We did Palazzo. Like, I remember back in the day, we were like sweating when it was like 3,000 people. Oh my God, what do we do? It dropped like from 3,500, 4,000. Like, back in the day, it was like 3,000 people was a slow night.
But we could, here's back in the day, like Splash and all these clubs, we could actually move, like if we didn't, like, let's say if the owner didn't want to pay me an extra $50, I could actually move the two of us down the road and we could take everybody with us in a week. And clubs could be closed. It was crazy. Whereas, like, we moved from Paparazzi to Palazzo. Palazzo was not really popping at that time. And man, I remember coming off the 407 the first week, and I lived in Markham. I couldn't, the exit Jane. The lineup of cars went all the way to 407,
bro.
Yeah,
we went from
first night.
We went
first
from
night.
like 1,500 people they were getting to, because that's how big Palazzo was. To 3,500 in 2 weeks.
Wow. That's how powerful radio was, and probably still is. We'll have to see, but I mean, to look back at how it was. The clients used to have to spend X amount of dollars to get Danny and I, or they wouldn't let us go. So the station had to make money, and then we had to make more our money on top of that too. Sure. So it was like, but if we were packing clubs that easily, guys didn't have a problem paying us.
But just to put it
for sure, yeah.
Put it in perspective, I was playing Thursdays, Times Square, which is the old LA Hollywood, 2,000 people. Friday we were at
Thursday.
Yeah,
where are you getting?
I know.
500 people.
I know now, right?
Friday Splash 1,500 we had.
Yeah.
Saturday Palazzo 3,500. So what is that? That's like 7,000 people a week.
Yeah,
we're playing for.
And we used to do like 4 gigs a week too. The biggest one, I mean, Summer Rush, we had 16,000, but the biggest Saturday night party I think that we ever did every Saturday, and I remember it was Indie Weekend at the Docks.
Yep.
The Docks. When 10,000 people bounced as the whole city shake. That was the commercial, wasn't it?
It was 13,000 people.
Yeah.
And it was just me as the DJ for the whole property and him as the MC for the whole property.
No different room. The commercial, was it not? When 10,000 people bounced as the whole city shake, the Docks Saturday nights.
Find out Saturday night.
Yeah, find out Saturday night at the Docks. So what would happen is that back in the day, these guys, you know how those Charles and all these guys, like when they have the equipment and the top of line stuff, even going back to the Docks. So what would happen is they'd have an intro and the lights would correspond with the intro. And then all of a sudden these screens would come down throughout the Docks, like maybe 20 screens. And the guy would throw the camera on the video. I mean, the camera would be me on all the screens doing the intro with Danny on the stage. And it was crazy. So I'd get nervous then. I'd be like, oh my God, But anyway. Oh my God. Well, because I wasn't used to being on camera. Radio and TV is a little different.
Yeah, sure.
Even this is kind of different for me because I'm not usually being recorded. Well, unless I have some big name DJ in. But I'm saying when all the cameras are on you and a big bright light turns on and you know that you're on 20 screens and everybody's looking at the screen because the music's corresponding with the lights, you got to make sure you know what you're doing. The first week I didn't know. But it usually just came to me. I mean, even this whole radio thing, I'm so busy throughout the day that realistically, I jump on the radio at 3:00 and I'm not sure what's going to happen. But it all happens for me, and it's been the biggest show on the radio for years. And lately, I've been with the world the way it is now, spreading a lot of positivity. I've been doing some quotes of the day, and the reaction has been overwhelming. So it's been cool this last little while of like spreading positivity and getting everybody in a good mood and stuff like that, and playing music that sort of corresponds with the day. If it's a sunny day, I'm not playing slow songs. If it's a long weekend Friday, you might hear Guns N' Roses. You know, and that's I think why the station is doing the best it's ever done in the history of the company, because we sort of play to what the people want, not just a playlist that you can get on Spotify or Apple Music. That's a top 40 playlist. Some of the other guys in town maybe do that, but we kind of, you know, every song has to match every song has to go with the next song. If it's raining and it's a Monday, you might hear Purple Rain by Prince, or Euphoria, Listen to the Rain, or what's the Ice one? Ice MC, It's a Rainy Day, stuff like that. So music corresponds to the mood. If people are in a good mood, and I get all these texts. I mean, we get tons of people that request songs throughout the day. So I'll jump on at 3 o'clock and see, 50 requests come through saying, I want to hear this. I take the best 3, say hi to people they still love hearing their names on the radio, and just kind of roll with it. And it seems to be working out for us. So we're doing the best we've ever done. It's congratulations to this guy and the rest of the Z1035 staff. It's cool to see that. Because we're the last independent owner left too. Remember that. So we're battling the big boys like Bell and Rogers, and to see the independent kind of winning and doing really well is pretty cool.
Okay, so talk a little bit more about that.
Okay.
Because like, I didn't know that, and I'm sure a lot of other people don't either, right? So independent in regards to Evanoff Radio Group being an independent private group that houses X amount of radio stations.
Correct.
And outside of Bell and Rogers, that's the only...
No, there's Chorus, and there's some other big guys too, but
there's other
we're
independents.
one of the last independents left, I guess you could say, in Toronto.
There's not many independents. I mean, most of the big corporations control the big stations.
Wow.
So...
Oh wow! I had no idea about that.
So I mean, the cool thing is that because we're independent, we just if I hear a cool track or Matt hears a cool track, we can put it on right away.
Yeah.
No, and it happens a lot. You go to Miami and you see Armin play this. I mean, I got a quick story for you. There was the record company from Ultra Records gave me a USB stick or whatever. I stuck it in the hotel room, and they gave me 10 songs. They're like, pick your best ones, whatever you think's going to work on the radio. And I remember, this is a Going Wrong story, but I picked Armin van Buuren, Going Wrong.
Yeah.
I played in my hotel room, and people were knocking on the door like crazy. What is that? What is that? What is that? And anyway, we come back, we play that, do an event with Armin, it all works out. But there's songs I've been to, Greece, for example, and I hear a song on the radio in Greece. I'm able to take that song and come try it on the radio in Toronto, and there's not many people that'll be able to do that, especially these big corporations. They kind of got to go with the flow and see if it's on a chart or whatever. But I think that's why we do so well, is because we're able to break music, and we're able to grab music from around the world and to see if it works in Toronto. And most of the time it works on the ones we pick. I
mean, there's so many examples to that, but for example, for me, I was in Vegas on vacation in a clothing store or something, and I heard Kid Cudi Day and Night. And that became a massive hit, across all radio stations in Toronto, actually.
Yeah.
But it was just I brought it back. I'm like, we got to start playing this track, and blew up.
That's how it went.
That's how it started, man.
Yeah,
I'm just saying from Toronto radio.
Yeah.
That's how it is, because that remix, the Crookers remix, for the guys from Italy remixed that track.
Yeah.
And that's how it all came about. It was just something
it's
opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Right place at the right time.
Bro.
Well, there's songs still today, cool stuff that. I just picked this Vanderlux track out. I think I sent it to you, actually. I feel better than I do. I never felt as good as I do right now.
Yeah.
And to me, lyrics and a song make a difference. And that song sort of fit. It was dance music, and I was going through stuff at the time. And I was like, I've never felt as good as I do right now. And that's a fact, because, I go to the gym at least 4 days a week. I'm going to church now on Sundays and stuff like that. And good things Yeah, right? Bless up. Good things are happening to me. So... another quick story here is they played me 10 tracks. I picked that track out of the blue, and to see that song go, I actually told the guy, I said, what's going to happen? He says, what? Some DJ from Vancouver, Vanderlux. So never knew who he was before. So I said to the record company, I said, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to play the song. It's going to Shazam in Toronto, at least top 20. And so, no, it Shazammed all the way to number 6. It was up there with Taylor Swift and all that. So this kid from Vancouver is freaking out. Says, I can't believe I'm on the radio now. I'm Shazamming, charted in Toronto, number 6. And now we're starting to do this cool promo where I'm going to go see Vanderlux in Bonnaroo. There's south of Nashville.
Okay.
And he's playing with Post Malone, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Diplo, probably one of the biggest festivals of this summer.
Bro.
And so we're going to send winners down with the hammer to go check out this Vanderlux kid that I just started playing out of the blue, and he's playing with all these guys in Bonnaroo. So it's
you
crazy.
guys are literally changing lives, man. In regards to like all these artists, like, and you've been doing that for a long time, right?
Yeah, more than
like,
any
by
other
playing their
station for
tracks
sure.
and- yeah.
Well, look at the Weeknd, for example. He labeled his last album Dawn 103.5, right? Because after us, and he
That's because
actually
of
credited
networking
because
relationship.
we were the first radio station to play his music.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like obviously he had a huge internet following or whatever. Like at the time, he went viral. Like I remember there was all those artists that wanted to work with him. Like like all the heavy hitters wanted to be with the Weeknd. And you know, he was a relatively unknown, and we were playing his music because again, like we were like, this is cool music, let's play it. And then like, look, the guy just went to blow up, you know.
And because of the networking we've done over the years, where we knew who the Weeknd's manager was, he plays the song before anyone else. And I remember him actually playing that, and I was like, that guy sounds like Michael Jackson, man. This is gonna be massive. And he told me, I'm gonna be living in LA, and in a year, and in 2 years, the Weeknd will sell out 2 shows at the Air Canada Center at the time, and I'll be living in LA, making this huge record company and doing big things. And that's exactly what happened. The Weeknd came 2 years later, sold out 2 shows at the Air Canada Center. Crazy.
Cause so you could you guys influence these DJs or these artists in regards to like their lyrics or things that they've done? Like, have you been like in conversations with them where they'd said, "Hey, you want me to say something on a track for you? Or you want me to spend some like?" Is there
maybe like Belly back in the days, you know, doing a hip hop with me and Danny's name and the Driver 5 in it, but
that was like a dub plate type of thing. It wasn't
yeah.
really like an actual release. Like no, they basically do their thing and then they bring the music to us.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some artists will do it.
And you guys obviously have personal relationships with all these guys, right? That you've put on, that you've helped, that you know you continue to play their music. That were nothing at the beginning, and now they're globally recognized, and massive.
Well, a lot of the networking happens through the record companies because, you know, you have to go through proper channels and stuff like that. But I mean, like when Armin, we just had him at the end of January. Yeah. And he came and he remembered us, like, and such a nice guy. Like, you know, so good to be, like, we hadn't had him in for years. Like,
no, I know.
It's been a while, and he, like, it was like yesterday, he remembers.
Cool, man.
You know, Tiesto, the same thing. Every time, you know, if he sees us at an event or whatever, it's like, hey, what's going on? Like, these guys remember. Because, like, you know, there was people, like, at their old radio station when we had them, like, there was, like, crowd control outside. Yeah. Like, we had Tiesto, and like, back in, like, 2005, I think it was. And there was a guy, he had his baby. He named his kid Tiesto. He got Tiesto to sign his health card.
Come on.
Yeah, like certificate. And Tiesto still remembers that story because he tells me every single time I see him. Wow. Oh, that guy named his son Tiesto. Like, that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a true story. That's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These are memories, man, and you know, this is what shaped us and what built us and where we are today.
Yeah, and you've opened and closed and played with a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, the Summer Rush was a big one because we had more of the artists and stuff like that. The DJs, I mean, it depends where they kind of have their own tour. They have their own openers and stuff like that. But I mean, we played a lot. But the Summer Rush, taking it back to like the Lady Gaga, we had her we did Halifax and Toronto.
That's right.
Back to back, and we had her. And she just had the one song, and like Matt said, she came for free because she was just trying to, you know, break her music. She was in this like black robe, and it was like, and everybody was like, you know,
who's that?
Who's this girl? Like, because nobody knew who she was. And then I remember, I think she was on just before me. And then I dropped Zombie Nation.
You were on after Lady Gaga.
Well, yeah, but at the time,
I'm just kidding.
At the time,
I know.
So,
That's
anyways,
funny.
and so then I went back into the dressing room after, and she's like, "Are you the DJ that played Zombie Nation?" And I'm like, yeah, and she's like, "Oh, that was so cool." But again, I see this lady here with like black, dark, like very goth looking, and I was just like, thanks. Meanwhile, what would it cost to go back in time?
to do a remix of a song.
I was like, please take me back in time. And I was like, I wish I had chatted her up at the time, but it is what it is, man. You know, but again, you know, like it's just it's experiences. Like there's so many artists, like even Rihanna.
Oh,
like,
we had her at Summer Rush.
We had her at Summer Rush. Like, I think, what was that? Maybe $5,000 or something cost. So
it
was.
And just TVB we had.
Stevie B, yeah.
And Joey. Shouts going out to Joey.
So Summer Rush. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk like where that. When did that start? When did it end? What happened in between? That was a legendary Toronto festival before there were any other festivals that were playing.
Do you want to talk about that or no?
Well,
Do you remember when it started? Or
I mean, I think you should talk
there.
about because you were there for the island when it originally started.
We were on Toronto Island originally, yeah.
And then
and then we moved to the
docks,
right?
No, the dock. There was some. No, we moved. Remember, we did the 1 year.
I know, but
we did Wonderland. Went to Wonderland.
Yeah.
Then we did the 1 year amphitheater.
Yeah.
And then we went back to then we went to the docks.
Yeah.
And then back to Wonderland.
So if you need to remember anything, this guy remembers everything. All the years. And everything.
So that's the order. I remember the posters, but I mean even then too, we had Destiny's Child. Think about it. We had Beyonce. Wild Orchid, which was Fergie, Black Eyed Peas.
Fergie, Fergie was part of Wild Orchid back in the day. It's just two amazing-looking girls that were singing this song that we thought was cool, and then look at Fergie, right? But where did it end? Do you think? I mean,
the last one was at Wonderland.
Yeah, but what happened through why it ended. And maybe we'll start it again. We still own the name Summer Rush, so maybe we'll do something like Spark Financial and Z135.
The Spark Financial
Bring back Summer Rush. Imagine
it's got a good bottom line. Let's look at it.
Man, we do need investors. But the thing is, the hardest thing would be to find somebody that's up and coming, like a Justin Bieber or Lady Gaga or something like that we could pay minimal amounts of money to that has a pretty big following or that's going to have a following in 6 months. It's almost like it seems like it was easier to do that back in the day, and most of these big artists now they're signed to Live Nation and stuff like that, so it's hard to book like a Justin Bieber or Rihanna or someone big. It's not as easy as it used to be back in the day. Back in the day, there was many rules. Most of the artists weren't signed to Live Nation. They kind of had their own thing going on, right? I think that was part of the issue.
Well, the thing is too is that these artists now are commanding big money. They're doing their own tours.
Yeah.
So even if you were to pay big money, you have to charge that back in the ticket prices. It doesn't make sense. You can't ask people to pay that money, right?
No.
So and we're doing a lineup with several heavy hitters. Pitbull we had too, Snoop Dogg. We've had some big heavy hitters, but again, it all worked within the budget, and to make the ticket price, what can you charge for that? Like Wonderland, for example, you have to pay your entrance, you have to pay for the concert. It's not cheap, right?
Yeah,
so you can't be asking people to spend $1,000 a ticket. It's not going to happen. I think back then tickets with the Wonderland entrance, I think were like $100 or something. That was reasonable, but you got to see 10, 15 acts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, and I remember too when I was getting out of the industry, when you're looking at these big scale events, the bottom line wasn't there. And if it was razor thin, and there was a lot of risk and liability that came with it. So it's like, okay, what am I doing this all for at the end of the day? Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Well,
right?
I don't.
And that's where it's like, okay, I get it, right? Doesn't make sense.
I don't want to be the one asking you the questions, but one of the ones that I remember was at her nightclub, Rewind Series.
Yeah.
And we jammed the place.
Yeah.
But I mean, you had some, I can't remember the lineup back then, but it was just before the pandemic because it was December, it was Christmas time, just before Christmas 2019.
Yeah.
And
good memory, man. I can't believe it, dude.
Was it Maximilian? I can't rember who it was.
Yeah, we had LaBouche, we had Maximilian, we had Joey, we had who else? We had one other really cool Euro act that wasn't too common, right? Because the Joeys, the Elisas, right? You'll see them around locally, but yeah, and LaBouche too.
And I remember
Maximilian. He was a cool dude too, man. Yeah.
But the place was jammed.
Yeah. They never.
But I mean, again, but that the expense to bring them all in. I mean, I don't know how much.
No, listen. To go to your point, every Rewind series that we did, there wasn't a profit made. We were in the red, but what we were doing it for was to build the brand, to then take it to a bigger stage and offset expenses with sponsorship at that point, right? Because it would have had its proof in concept, right? And as we got, a bigger and bigger and bigger crowd, made more and more noise and built the brand equity, then we could leverage that with a sponsor that would then offset the expenses and it would make it all worthwhile, right?
Yeah.
So that was the plan where it's like, we'll burn for a couple years building it, but then when we take it to the big stage, we'll be able to profit off of it because of that, right? But to go to your point, right, it was extremely hard to make a buck, even with a rammed out venue. Right?
That's what I mean. We're talking well over 1,000 people for that event.
Yeah.
And you would think, like, you see this place jammed,
Yeah.
bottles are flying.
Yeah.
But these are all these artists. Like, you got to bring in Maximilian. You got to fly them in from wherever. Labouche from Europe.
Yeah.
They want euro conversions.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not cheap.
Yeah, that's
you
true,
know,
man.
like the overhead and I've heard this so many times with people who start festivals.
Yeah.
The first 2-3 years, you're in the red.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, you're looking. It's a long-term vision.
Yeah. Yeah. They say it's 5 years, right? Where you start to see a profit from it and pay back the losses and whatnot. So, yeah, and then even to go to that, right? Like, you got these big boys like Live Nation and like Inc. that are putting together these world-renowned festivals that have amazing talent lineups, the layered entertainment they have built into them, the 3-day experience. So to compete with that, it's just like, you know, the festival and larger scale events have a sophistication level of their own that needs to be respected and almost left for, you know, the festival owners and the big boys to play with, right? Or else it doesn't make sense.
That's the thing is that you need that money, you need that capital. Like Live Nation has it, Inc. has it, in order to fund it. Because like, I mean, I don't know if you can even do it just with investors. It's like you need obviously the relationships too, because then when you're booking, like for example, Inc., they book an Armin van Buuren, they have him exclusively because they book him three times.
Exactly.
They brought him to.
Well, they booked him from the beginning. That's the problem.
Yeah, so that's it. But
Charles hasn't they won't even let him go on the outskirts or whatever they're saying, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, there's like a kilometer
clause.
restriction,
Yeah,
within 250 kilometers or something or whatever, and you can't do a show within this amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
But they also too, like, credit to them, kind of sidebarred all this. They built a relationship with his label. They developed Loud Luxury, signed them through Armada, and together blew those kids up. Like those guys are like killing it right now.
Yeah, massive.
And those are local boys.
Good. And you know what? It's one of those things too where it's like you want to go to an Inc. show that is putting on that caliber of talent because you know they're going to do it right. Whereas if like a one-off promoter or event curator isn't going to provide the same level of experience. So it's not only you're not doing the consumer right, you're not really doing the artist right either, right? You know what I mean? Like in a nutshell. So definitely. But so getting back to what's going on with the radio now, let's talk a little bit about these other platforms like Apple Music, like Spotify, and all the other options that people have to listen to what they want, when they want, how they want to, right? And how you guys, you know, are really continuing to maintain, sustain, and even having your best year yet is what you guys are saying with the FM channel, right? So what have you had to do to battle adversity and to jump over these hurdles that have been put in front of you? Because right now it's almost like you guys are going against the grain, crushing it, right? Tough to do though, you know what I mean?
Of
so
course.
what does that look like? How does that whole landscape?
Here's the thing. So what we have to do as a radio station, or I believe, is we want to play music that people can come to the radio and hear music that they can curate their own playlist. So if I can curate a better playlist than you can, then I believe what's happening is, and I can see it happening because I can see all the data, is I believe people are coming to the radio, finding out what cool songs are playing, and then maybe putting on their playlist, but they're still coming to the radio to hear it.
Right.
So like that Vanderlux thing I just mentioned he's number 6 Shazam Toronto. Well, that's people listening to radio, Shazamming it, figuring out what song that is, and then maybe putting on their own playlist.
Yeah.
So in this day and age, if we can curate a better playlist than people can curate on their own, I think that's where the key is.
Interesting. Okay. I never looked at it from that
right.
angle.
Because we see that you see the Shazam charts every time we pick a cool song. We know people are Shazamming it, so we know people are listening to radio. We know a lot of people listen to radio, especially the older end, the 30 plus, say. The younger kids are starting to get it now, but so there's a whole bunch of things that we got to think of on our end. Like, how do we get the younger generation to listen to radio? Well, let's do something that money can't buy. Let's send them to Taylor Swift, and they get to pick their city that they want to go to, or their country. They go Portugal, Italy, Netherlands, or what's the last one? UK or something. London. Let's put a cool promo together where we'll try to get the mothers and daughters or their fathers and daughters to listen to try to get this European vacation that they get to pick where they want to go. So what we've been doing lately is trying to come up with experiences that sort of, you know, relate to the younger demo and older demo, and experiences that money can't buy. Like, I'm going to be doing some cool stuff with some DJs that I just met recently called the Banker Boys. These guys have bank apparently, so they're like, we want to be DJs, so we're going to call ourselves the Banker Boys. It's a fact. So I go see them at an event. They're like, we want to be on the radio. I'm like, well, have a good song. I'll put you on the radio. So we put them on the radio, whatever. But I'm going to do this cool event now where their song was played on the radio. It reacted well. But then I'm like, what's next? Okay, well, these guys want to be known as artists. What can we do as a radio station to, help them out and do a cool promo at the same time? Well, what's going to happen is that I'm going to be going to Bahamas. They're going to rent a yacht. We're going to do the Drive 5 live with the Banker Boys on a yacht in Bahamas, and we'll bring some winners down with us. So it's like, experiences that money can't buy are a key, and playing music that the other radio stations won't play. Like, I'm not copying anybody. If anything, they're copying us because we're coming up with we're still a radio station that plays new music, where the other guys will kind of wait for it to be a hit. We kind of break it. We sort of break a lot of artists and stuff like that. But now when we break these artists, what can we do to help them be known, and what can we do to help the radio station and get listeners to react to cool promos that we've been doing, like the Taylor Swift or we're in the Vanderlux promo, Bonnaroo, we're at Bahamas with the Banker Boys or whatever it is. So we're gonna have a lot of fun this summer. We're coming up with a lot of cool promos and hopefully stuff that money can't buy. I said to these Banker Boys, I'm like, it'd be really cool, and they're like, what? I said, yeah, go to Bahamas with the Banker Boys, spin on a yacht. I get it, that's cool, but why not have the last day where you teach them on how to make money?
Right.
And go on the radio and say, hey, you want to go to Bahamas with the Hammer, Banker Boys on a yacht, but the last day we go into a seminar and figure out how to make money.
That's
brought to you by Spark Financial.
Yeah.
You can always sponsor.
That's why Matt's the number one salesman.
I'm a sales guy too. I do
100%, bro. I remember that time.
Wouldn't it sound cool on your end though? That cool promo brought to you by Spark Financial Group.
Yeah. Let's talk about
it. I think I saw a cubicle with Hammer's name on it.
Yeah.
The best was we were talking about a campaign, right? And it was like we were going back and forth on the emails. We had our teams involved in it. And fucking, I'd be in these meetings and my phone's blowing up left, right, and center, calls, messages, and like I'm a busy guy, but like crazy, you know what I mean? Like it was nonstop, right? So I'd have to walk in and be like, hey, like what's up, right? Like the same person would be calling 3 times, like my uncle, and I was like, what's up? I'm worried. I'm genuinely worried now, right? And he's like, bro, Hammer's just like calling you out on the radio.
You remember when I do that?
He's like, you gotta call him, bro. Like, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I never even heard of anything like. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, and I hung up, and then I'd go and like, I'm not even exaggerating. I'd have like 20 messages, right? Hammer's calling you out on Z. Hammer's calling you out. Nick, you gotta call Hammer. I'm like, what the fuck is
happening? Let me tell you why I did that.
You think FM radio's not relevant anymore? You know how many people are listening? I'm thinking like, fuck. Yeah. Okay, I get where he's going with this.
Let's have a meeting tomorrow. Yeah.
And it kept happening for 2-3 weeks. I go, fuck, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, that's funny.
I gotta go forward with this campaign now.
Yeah. quick story about that is I've been doing that a little bit now. So guys that like that are like just on the cusp of deciding if they want to advertise.
Yeah.
I'll be like,
That's amazing.
And if they're well known in the industry, say some real estate guy from Kleinberg, everybody knows who this guy is.
Yeah.
I've done it to I've done it to like 5 guys. You've been one of them. But what I'll do is I'll say something like, what I did for you was because I think you were sort of on the cusp too, which is like, I was like, oh, come on, man, Nick, we got to do something together. So I went on the radio and I just said, I'm looking for Nick Regina. If anybody knows this guy, he used to do clubs back in the day and owned this company called NRG. And then now he owns Spark Financial Group, I think it is. Just pretend I don't really know. And then I'm like, could you please get him to call me? I need you to hit him up. I don't care how you hit him up. It's Instagram or Facebook or call him or text him. But let him know I'm looking for him. I really got to talk to him. And I'd be so serious. And people would just be like, texting the station, does he owe you money? I'm like, yes, call him. Yes, he does. Anyway, so I did a whole bunch of guys. Same thing happened. Some guys in a seminar doing a seminar goes, my thing wouldn't stop vibrating. The whole thing is throwing me off. I'm trying to speak. I was like, wow. So
amazing.
It's cool to see that many people will, still call somebody, and that many people still listen to radio, which I still believe. I mean, the ratings are the ratings, but if you actually look at what we want to do is for Z1035 is sort of make it a worldwide brand at this point. We get Toronto now. We understand Toronto. We're doing the best we've ever done in Toronto. Well, what's next for the radio station is like, you know, when we have a guest DJ like Tiesto, we want people listening around the world to Tiesto, not just in Toronto. I mean, it does happen now where I can sit in my office and look at a map of the world, and I can see where people are listening from, what device they're listening on, and how long they're listening. So we've got people listening in Toronto, but we've got people right now listening around the world to the radio station, which is cool. And if we can kind of, you know, excel and elevate the radio station to be a worldwide brand in the next 5 years, I think we'll be excellent. So everything's working out for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Good
and
on you boys.
I just want to add to what Matt said. Like, I mean, I agree with everything he said, but from our perspective, like, yeah, from my perspective, you have Spotify, Apple Music, all those are, before it was just radio stations were competing. Now you're competing for everyone's attention from the internet, from social media, from you know, those music playlists, other radio stations. So obviously there's much more competition these days.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what those don't offer is personality.
Yeah.
So things like, you know, when Matt's talking about what he's talking about on the radio, or me, like, we talk to people, like, people tell us, like, we feel like you're our friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You guys are amazing at building communities.
So that's what it that's what it is. And, you know, and the
Yeah.
thing is, we played tracks, and, you know, the pandemic changed everything.
Yeah.
The pandemic, like, you know, people were locked down. People, they, you know, like, let's face it, people were depressed.
Yeah.
But, you know, we brought back people to a time with the music where it was a good time, a happy memory.
Yeah.
And that's what people connect with that. And that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And we were live through the pandemic too. There's a lot of radio stations that, you know, the guy be broadcasting live from home. Well, how do you do that? Like, you're not answering phone calls. You're kind of not getting the vibe. You're not in front of a board. It's like totally different. Like, if I broadcast live from your house today, that'd be a way different show. And well, maybe not actually. Probably be a good idea. But I'm saying, like, you know, if I was at home by myself and like in the studio with no phones going, you can't really see much text messages, and you're kind of doing a radio show. We were one of the few stations that during the pandemic, we're live. I was going in every day. I was loving it. You know what I mean? And I think that helped us out. That's where we started, you know, taking off really. Like, from, you know, one point to another was the pandemic. And the guy said yesterday, it was like, last night we were at an event. He's like, man, you guys brought me through the pandemic, and you guys were, you know, always there, and the music you guys play and the things you were saying. I was like, you guys helped me and my family and my kids listen. It was awesome. So I think that's where we started the upward trend here with the radio station, is being live during the pandemic and doing cool, like, videos with artists. We were doing like the Instagram live stuff, like, you know, with all the DJs and stuff like that. So it was kind of, you know, we tried to help people through the pandemic. It seemed to work.
That's amazing, bro. That's sick, dude. No, you guys have, like, now thinking about it, right? You guys have really built up a solid community where not only do they know you guys or feel like they know you guys personally, right? But it's just like you brought the city together in a big, big way. And Z103 is so legendary, but Hammer and Danny D are such a massive part of that, right? That,
Appreciate
you know,
that.
that's special, bro, and tough to do. And I love what you were saying too there in regards to engaging the whole community to partake in this competition that's going to lead to an experience in which money can buy, right? But Hammer and Danny D can put together. And make happen, right?
Yeah, totally.
But this is just the creative, like, look at the creativity that has to happen there, right? That's how deep and far you guys have to go to be different, right? To continue to attract listeners, right? To compete with these bigger platforms out there, right? Like that. So again, tip my hat to you guys on the extent that you have to go to, because it's not just about, you know, people are turning on the radio now, that's their only option, and, you know, the listenership is up and you guys are the ones they're listening to, right? It's not that, man. You guys are grinding. You're getting creative. You're looking at up and coming artists, and, you know, you're listening to their music. You got to have a good ear for what's good and what's not. Yeah. Again, let's not just talk about it like it's easy too. To like, oh yeah, okay, let's put your track on the radio. No. You need to know what's trending, right?
Yeah.
What the you know, crowd wants to listen to and wants to hear, and you taking a shot at putting that on the radio is a bit of a gamble, right? Like that, that'd be kind of nerve wracking, right? Like, is this gonna go good or not?
Yeah, I know,
because you guys are breaking that music in, right? Leading, by the way, are the pioneers, and then everyone else follows. It's easy to follow and be like, yeah, that track hit, everyone loves it. Okay, let's play it.
Yeah,
you guys are the ones testing it out,
totally,
right? So it's like these are like ballsy moves, right? You know, and unconventional and unorthodox ways that you've had to, you know, put together, maintain to stay at the top of the game, right? Like,
it's not
good on
easy.
you, man. You guys are dancing.
Thank
bro.
you.
You guys
I
are
appreciate
dancing.
that.
Yeah.
But everyone's like, oh, can I get my song on the radio? Can I get my song on the radio? Well, it's not about, is your song good? So what we know after being together for 20 years or being there that long is that I just kind of, we both have an ear for what's going to work. Most of the time we pick a song that hits the radio and we're like, ooh, I'm not sure if it's going to work. No, we know it's going to work. It's like when I pick a song, I'm like, I know the audience at this point where I know what Toronto's all about and what they want from Z1035. And if I usually pick a song, it's Shazam or whatever it is, top 20. And there hasn't been many times we've been wrong.
No.
Where it's like, oh, let's try this song and it just shit the bed. No, it's always been, it always usually works. I can't remember the last time we picked a song that hasn't worked. But so Matt, it's harder than easier said than done.
So you're trying out a song.
Yeah.
How do you know it worked if it's the first time that you played?
How do I know it'll work?
Because you have how do you know? No, you got it. You got the ear for it.
Okay.
You guys know what Toronto wants.
Sure.
But
how do you know if it worked? Okay, so you put it on the radio, and then Shazam's a big one. Because if they're Shazam, they're not going to sit there and Shazam a song they don't like. Oh, what's this? I don't like it. Let me Shazam it. Not going to happen. So they're Shazamming it because they like it. So if we're the only radio station in Toronto playing this song, and it ends up at number 5 on Shazam Toronto, then obviously you know it's working. If you sit in the studio and people call the radio station to request this song, then you know it's working. If you sit in the studio and the text messages start coming through and 5 of them are for this new song that they heard yesterday, then you know it's going to work. Or there's some proof right there, I guess. But
yeah.
I have a new music feature called New at 422, so I'll test a lot of artists on that. And the amount of votes that come through and the actually people that get engaged in it is crazy. But what I say to the audience is like, I'm the music director. You're going to play assistant music director today, and you're going to let me know what you think of this song. Give me your honest opinion on this song. Should we play this song, et cetera, et cetera? And the amount of text that I get with people actually engaging in it is insane. So that helps too, where we get the listener to decide what they like, if the song's good or not. But then even if the song loses, like we've had songs in the past that lose on a new music feature, like Beyonce Crazy in Love back in the day, that got killed, 90% dumped, and then all of a sudden it becomes the biggest song in the world. So you just kind of watch it. And
Daft Punk One More Time was another one I remember.
What, it got dumped or something?
Yeah, it was like people hated it at first, and then it became like,
Sometimes it takes a few listens. You first hear a song, you're like,
True.
meh.
Yeah.
And then you go back to it, you're like, yeah, a little bit, and then the third time you're like, well, I'm jamming it. I like this.
Yeah. No,
because you take in the vocal or
true.
something happens where you actually realize that it's a good song. So
even a more recent example is the remake of Dido. Thank you, the Dimitri Vegas, like Mike.
Okay.
So
you can put a clip of it right here.
We were playing that.
What's up, man?
We were playing that on the radio.
Yeah.
We found it on our own, whatever. Actually, we were playing it. I think we got a live version of it at first.
Yeah, we were playing a live version on the radio, so you could hear the DJ saying, "Everybody scream" on the radio. I remember that because the version wasn't out.
It reacted like crazy, and even I don't even know if that one necessarily was a Shazam reaction, but I remember the record company. They didn't even know they had it. They were in a global meeting, and Europe was telling them, "Oh, yeah, our track is reacting very well in up there in Canada and whatever." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" So, and it was from us. Like the record company didn't even know that they had.
That happens a lot.
Holy shit!
What happens is we'll play music before the record company even knows they have it. And they're like, "Hey Matt," like 3 months later, "Hey Matt, can you check out this song?" I'm like, "Yeah." We played that for 3 months. Like we've been playing.
It's a way back now.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's a way back now. Nothing against the record companies. That's more when it comes to dance music. We're not talking about like pop music and stuff like that. We're talking specifically about dance music because that's the record labels maybe don't have somebody just specifically working dance. They're working Beyonce and they're working all the big artists. So the smaller ones kind of fall under the carpet or whatever. But we'll play songs before the record company even knows they have them, and then they'll come to us and say, "Hey, play this song." We're like, "Oh, we've been playing that." "Oh, thank you." And then there's other things like, I'm going to be honest, record companies, we see record companies, Danny sees record companies every week. Universal Music, Sony Music, Warner Music, all of them. They come in, they give us their priorities. Here's what we want you to listen to this week. Okay? So they have a list of priorities. They'll pick like 10 of their songs, say, like, you guys pick one or whatever. Or which one you think is going to work. Or can you play this? The other station's playing this. What about this? Just because the other station's playing it doesn't mean we're going to play it. If the other station's playing it, we got to feel if it would be good for our station. So they'll come in, they'll be like, "Oh, Tiesto has this new song." I think the single they were working was Way Lower Low. What is it called?
Lay Low.
Lay Low. So we'll be like, so I'll sit there and I'll listen to the Tiesto album and I'll be like, yeah, but I like this song better. I'll pick another song off the album and I'll play that instead. And the record company will be like, yo, what are you doing? You can't play that. We're not working that single right now. And I'm like, well, at this point, I'm battling Spotify.
Yo, what are you doing?
I'm battling Spotify and Apple Music. I'm going to play which Tiesto song I think is the best.
Right.
So we'll play this Drifting song. Well, we played Drifting. What happened? It was Shazamming like crazy in Toronto. The record company's like, yo, switch back to the other one. I'm like, there's no chance. There's no chance. So stuff like that happens a lot where we'll do things like that where we're not supposed to do it, but at this point, we're going to do it. Whatever's the best for the radio station, what we think is going to work best.
I think you can attest to that as a business owner. You got to do what's best for your company,
bro.
Right?
Absolutely, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah.
You have to. I mean, it's cutthroat out there.
Yeah.
So if you don't, you fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
You have to do whatever you can to excel.
100%, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I want to end this off with talking about how you guys have single-handedly kept the genre of Euro
wow, it's coming back, bro. It's coming back.
As a radio station.
It's coming back.
and if it was not for Z1035, let's face it,
Yeah.
Euro would have died a long time.
Yeah, there wouldn't have been Euro in
So
Toronto.
first of all, hand of applause
Yeah.
to the boys.
Shouts go out to Tony
to
Monaco.
The crew, to
Look
Monaco,
out.
to Euro!
Where's Monaco?
Single-handedly keeping this genre alive.
Yeah.
That is an accomplishment in itself, right?
Yeah.
But talk about, bring me through a little journey, man, of the Euro music, where it started, what happened, why it's just so close to our hearts. That euphoric feeling that everyone has.
You still get
when
that,
they
eh?
hear, bro,
Oh my God.
100%.
What is
It's
your-
good feels, bro?
What
It's
is your
good
favorite
soul.
Euro song?
I guess I'll
What's
start.
your favorite Euro song?
I like "Turn the Tide" by Silver.
Oh yeah,
you
Silver.
banged that out
Baby.
for me.
Yeah, I'll play that today, 3:00.
And you banged it out when I told you that.
Of course I did.
Was
And we'll do it again today.
All right.
All right. So I guess I'll start on this one. So like
Okay, go for it.
because I mean you're talking about the Euro. And,
Yeah.
It's what I do,
Absolutely. Look at him perk up.
Yeah, I know.
Let me start on this one.
You said it.
I got this. He's got it. Yeah.
All right, take it away, Danny D. Take
No,
it
but
away.
I mean, like going back to what I was saying about the pandemic, like you take those tracks, you're the only Z103 is the only place you're hearing it, and what does that music do? You just said it in your. I don't even know if you realize you said it. Feel good, right? So it takes you back to a time when things were good, when you feel good.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what it's all about. And the thing is, you won't hear it anywhere else. And then now you have like Guetta with still one of the biggest tracks when you drop it at an event. David Guetta Blue, sampling Eiffel 65.
Yeah.
And then they just start ripping through all these old tracks and remaking them. Like, I mean, Better Off Alone's been done, I don't know how many times now.
Yeah.
I've lost track.
It's actually getting crazy where they're all coming back. All those
Are you
Euros.
serious, bro?
It's right now. It's coming.
Wow.
Like Euro music is
that's
coming
so
back.
sick, bro.
But there's so many remakes.
On. Look at Danny.
But I don't know. I don't
right up our alley, though.
It's-
It couldn't be better for us.
amazing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, dance music is getting bigger, but the Euro sound is coming back big time. Like there's so many Euro tracks that have been remade. That are continuing to be remade, but now it's just like we're waiting for the next Euro artist. Like, who's the new Euro artist? Like, okay, we can remake Real McCoy Runaway 100 times, but where's the newest ones? You know what I mean? So we're on the lookout for that, but the remixes that are coming through will also play those because our audience digs it because they grew up with that stuff. If you can add a Loft Majorca, but a better version of it, I mean, I'll take it all day.
Game over.
I'll take it all
bro.
day.
Game over. Bro.
Yeah, right?
So
it's like Cash
sick,
Cash,
yeah.
Take Me Home. They made that record better, I feel, like more hype than it ever was. You know what I mean?
What do you mean? Tell it to my heart, you mean?
I'm sorry, tell me. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
But do you agree? Like, I mean, the
100%.
original's here,
Yeah.
but then the new version's up here. You think Real McCoy, Runaway is here, and then somebody else takes it to the next level. That's what's happening now. Like that music this summer, I believe that's the biggest music that's going to be around on
Euro.
035.
Euro remix.
Well, Euro remixes and more dance music than ever before.
That's huge.
And the reason is because people want positivity. They want to feel good and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why it's all coming back around. But I mean, music's in waves, and it's just a wave where dance music's coming back big time this summer.
Well, for us, we've always stuck to our heritage. So, like, that's always been a base of, back from the Dance 108 days. Matt can attest to that. That was
the music. Way too much. I'm just kidding.
That's what, like, exploded the company, basically, was that Dance 108 and that Euro sound. So we've always stuck to our heritage, always kept it in our playlist. But then now, like I said, it's gone to a new level. But you know what's amazing? So we've seen over the years, we've seen our audience grow with us, because when we see the ratings, we see the demographic breakdowns, we see they grow with us. But the thing that's amazing is there's so many younger kids who, a lot of them don't even maybe listen to radio because they're on these playlists or whatever, but they're into the Euro music. Like, I can't believe how many I see, like, saying, like, posting stories of the Drive at 5 on a Wednesday with Waybacks or the Wayback Lunch or whatever, and they're like, Euro, and they're loving it.
Sick.
You're also exposing a new generation to it as well.
Yeah. So that's amazing, man. That's good.
Yeah, it is good.
It's excellent.
That's a positive thing, bro. It like we were saying, right? It's feel good. It's euphoric. There's no, like, the lyrics aren't, having it be that they're steering the younger generation in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? It's just...
I have a quick story for you. I was doing a Euro night at Club 77 in Hamilton years ago. This is before the pandemic. And it was like a Euro night. And there was a guy there. He was one of the promoters. And he was just, like, loving it and just jamming, right? He, like, hardcore. And people are coming up to him like, yo, dude, what are you on, man? Like, he's like, I'm no drugs. He's like, this music just makes me happy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, but that's what it does. It's like honestly, Euro, though, no matter what, if you love it or hate it, there's people that hate on it. But they're secret listeners, because at the end of the day, it's like a guilty pleasure. Right? Yeah. But it makes you feel good. It's uplifting. Yeah. It's happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I want to bust one out right now.
Yeah.
Hey, I get going here.
No.
That's funny.
All right, boys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Before we go, I want to congratulate you on everything that Spark Financial has done, and seeing you back in the day in the clubs and all that, and how you've grinded your whole life, and to see you here and having us on your podcast, kind of full circle. But congratulations to your whole team. Congratulations to you, Nikki, on everything that you've done. And I actually look up to you sometimes. I'm like, that Nick guy, he's actually really killing it. And so congratulations to the team. I wish you all the success in the world, and you and I will be doing something together one day, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Bro.
Spark Financial with Hammer, Danny D, and Z1035 coming soon.
100%.
And there's my sales pitch. Anyway, congratulations on everything. I'm pretty proud of you. I mean, really proud of you.
I echo his sentiments. I mean, like we were talking before the podcast, during the pandemic, you just started the Spark Financial business, and to see how it's grown exponentially. Like open up Instagram, and we're opening a Florida office at Hamilton.
You got.
So you know what I mean? So I'm going to end off. What would it cost to buy Spark Financial Group?
I'll partner with you guys for free.
Yeah.
No, congrats. You know what? I really appreciate that, and it means a lot coming from you guys, because I've looked up to you guys even long before we got to know each other, and I was in the hospitality and nightlife scene. I was a listener of Z when I was a very young man. I remember my mom driving us to school in the 90s. I don't even know what year the old school Toyota Privia is.
Oh,
we'd
that's
be
funny.
blowing it, and it was just, you guys were the coolest guys around town. You still are. And, from listening to the station as a kid, 12, 13 years old. Yeah, it was grade 8, I remember. I started listening to it and idolizing you guys being the coolest guys in the world. And then when I got to meet you guys and work with you guys, it wasn't like that, oh man, I thought the world of them, and then it wasn't what I thought it would be, or they were dickheads, or they were a little cocky, or it wasn't. It was everything that I dreamed it to be. Because you guys were gentlemen. You guys never walked around like you had any bit of ego. You guys were extremely humble. If there was an opportunity to give where we could speak on the radio a little bit and get excited, or be in the studio when you're hitting a set and just watch what's going on, you guys always provided that. And you never had it be that we felt any type of way other than total love. you know. So working with you, you know, listening to you as a kid, then working with you hand in hand.
Yeah.
And now, again, like you said, it coming full circle, and we're going to do some awesome things with the advertisement and just staying a part of each other's lives. I really value our relationship, but I tip my hat to you guys, man, because you guys are, like I said, you guys are a lot of people's heroes. You know what I mean?
Thank you,
in a big
man.
way, and amazing at building community and family. And we all love you here at Spark, and I know my friends and family outside of Spark love you guys too. So thank you just for being
Thank
so
you.
fucking awesome.
Thank you,
Awesome.
brother.
I'll end with one thing.
Yeah.
You know how I'm doing all these things about, you know, money can't buy experiences and all that?
Yeah.
I'll be real with you. I sort of learned a little bit that about that from you and back in the day when you used to, you know, everybody can do a Friday night, but what are you going to do different than everybody else? And you always had these concepts of like whatever you had to do, you're bringing in girls or you're doing this thing or doing that thing. There was always something that Nikki was up to. It's like, we can't just have a Friday night party live there on the radio. We got to do this. And there's always something else to that. So, I mean, just growing up together and watching you vibe out and during the clubs and stuff like that, I've kind of taken some of that and said, okay, how do I do that on the radio? And that's kind of where these money can't buy experiences are doing. What can we do that no one else is doing? So I'll congratulate you on sort of helping me out there. But you've been a beauty your whole life, and I look forward to doing stuff together, Nikki. And congratulations
man.
on Spark Financial Group.
Congrats, brother.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, boys.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to another session of What Would It Cost? This was an absolute beautiful time that we spent here in the Spark headquarters filming studio with these two gentlemen. And tell them a little bit more about where they could find you guys and follow along in regards to your social media handles or your website. Yeah.
I'm at the real DJ Danny D.
Dizzle.
No, don't. At the real DJ Danny D.
Dizzle. I'm just kidding. I do it on the radio. Get so mad. That's the only
I
reason I'm
do
doing
because then people search for it. So can I do it once without you saying anything?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, fine. Go ahead.
At the real DJ Danny D. Thank
There
you.
you go.
There you go.
And I'm at the real DJ Danny Dizzle. No, I'm not. I'm at Hammer on Air. So, or I don't know why I say just Hammer on Air. Look for that, and you'll find me somewhere. We could be buddies, and you
Yeah.
can take a look into our lives, and we'll take a look into your lives. And you know, a lot of people listen to the radio like, oh, I feel like I know you. I feel like I know you. So now with social media and all that, and people watching everything we do, it's like back in the day they never recognized us, but they recognize us now because of social media. So when we go out, it's like, that's a Hammer. I know I saw him on social media. Where back in the day in radio, no one ever knew who you were because it was like there's not really websites or anything, right?
Yeah.
Unless they
So now
recognize your voice.
it's growing,
you know?
and it's cool to see people out at the Leaf game and they recognize us and stuff like that. But Hammer on Air is mine. Let's become buddies.
Yeah. At the real DJ Danny D.
All right. Let's get it.